Hi friends, good afternoon to everyone. Today my class is about part 2 of the AM receivers, that is the continuation of the AM receivers. In the last class I have already discussed about what is AM receivers and types of AM receivers, and I have also explained about drawbacks in the tuned radio frequency receiver, and I have also rectified the drawbacks by using super heterodyne receiver. And also in super heterodyne receiver I have already I have already told you about the image frequencies in the super heterodyne receiver, how the image frequencies will distort the signal at the receiving end. Today my class is all about the continuation of the part 1, that is part 2 of the AM receivers. First of all, I will go with how to suppress the image frequencies. I have already told that image frequencies are not at all useful. They are not necessarily suppressed after the mixer. So image frequencies you have to suppress it in order to avoid distortions in the signal. Now I will explain about how to suppress the image frequencies. The suppression of image frequency is not possible after the mixer, because after mixer both will occupy the same frequency range. Actually the suppression will be done before the mixer, because if you consider the tuning frequency, that is the original frequency what you want, and the image frequency will be come along with the original frequency. At the mixer both will down convert into the intermediate frequency. So both will come into the same frequency range, that is intermediate frequency. It may be 455 or 500 kilohertz frequency. It depends upon our application. But if you see after the mixer, both the original, our wanted signal, as well as unwanted image frequency signal, both occupying the same frequency, so that there will be a distortion in the signal which you required, so that we have to suppress these image frequencies before the mixer itself, in order to avoid any distortions in the signal. That's why we are suppressing it before the mixer. So how we will suppress this image frequencies? In order to suppress these image frequencies, we require a separate circuit, which is nothing but a tuned circuit is placed before the mixer to suppress the image frequencies. So we have to place one tuned circuit before the mixer in order to suppress the image frequencies and allow only the tuning frequencies. So I will explain this with I will explain this circuit in the block diagram. Mixer along with the tuned circuit is nothing but preselector. This is mixer, this is tuning circuit. This total is considered as a preselector, and this is the general block diagram of the super heterodyne receiver. Now I will explain how the tuned circuit will work and how it will suppress the image frequency. Let us consider the gain versus frequency graph of a tuned circuit. If you consider this graph, then if you see Fs is nothing but our tuning frequency or our required frequency. If you consider the corresponding gain at Fs, it is 1. And if you consider FSI is nothing but the image frequency. We have to suppress that image frequency, so that the gain which you are considering at that image frequency is 0.1. So let us consider the tuned frequency has the intensity level 50, and similarly image frequency also the intensity level is 50. If you pass this both signals, if you pass this both signal to this tuned circuit or the preselector, then image frequency intensity level is multiplied with the unity gain. So it will be as it is, it will be transmitted after the tuned circuit. Similarly FSI is multiplied with the 0.1, that is, it is the gain, it is very much 1 by 10 times we are reducing the gain of the image frequency, so that this is how we are reducing the intensity level. Actually at the beginning it is 50, we are passing to the circuit so that it is multiplied with 0.1. So after coming out of this tuned circuit, the intensity level of the image signal is 5 only. Before it is 50, now it is 5, so we are reduced it. We can even reduce much more by providing less gain in the tuned circuit. This is how the tuned circuit will work. And in order to determine this suppression of the image frequency, we are considering one factor which is nothing but tuning factor. It is nothing but which is nothing but image rejection ratio. Image rejection ratio, image rejection ratio is nothing but ratio of gain at Fs divided by gain at Fsi. Always image rejection ratio should be very much greater than 1. That is nothing but numerator value always very high when compared to the denominator value, so that the gain at Fsi should be always low in order to get image rejection ratio very high. Also, image rejection ratio has a mathematical formula, that is alpha is equal to square root of 1 plus q square into rho square, where q is nothing but the quality factor of the tuned circuit, and rho is nothing but Fsi divided by Fs minus Fs divided by Fsi, where Fsi is nothing but image frequency and Fs is nothing but the tuning frequency. And we can improve. I have already told that suppression factor is nothing but the image rejection ratio. Always suppression factor should be high, so that we can able to eliminate the image frequency signal. So we have to always increase the image rejection ratio. How can improve the image rejection ratio is mainly two types. First one is, we can improve the image rejection ratio as high as possible. So tuned circuits are connected in cascade. Instead of using one tuned circuit, if you use multiple tuned circuit in a cascaded version, so that overall gain of the tuned circuit will be very high. This is how we are reducing you are increasing the gain of the tuned frequency and reducing the gain of the image frequency. This is how we can reduce the image signal, as well as you can improve the image rejection ratio. This is one type of technique. Even another type of technique is, instead of using cascaded versions, even you can use RF amplifier as a type of a tuned circuit. Even it will provide high gain to the tuning frequency signal and low gain to the image signal, that is image frequency signal. This is how also we can able to increase the image rejection ratio. This is all about how to suppress the image frequency signal, and also about image rejection ratio. And the next topic is about local oscillator. We are using at the mixer, we are using local oscillator, and we are going for down conversion. And also I have already told at the beginning while I am explaining super heterodyne receiver, that is we are taking FL always greater than Fs, that is local oscillator frequency is greater than tuning frequency. That's why we are going for down conversion only. Why we are taking this condition into consideration? I will explain this in this topic. Local oscillator. The local oscillator frequency is adjusted to down convert the received to down convert the signal to the intermediate frequency. Practically, Hartley oscillator is used. A variable capacitor is used to adjust the intermediate frequency. I have already told you that what is the need of local oscillator is, local oscillator is adjusted in order to make the tuning frequency to the intermediate frequency that is required applicable, that is application based frequency. That is, if you want 500 kilohertz, then we can adjust the local oscillator and we will down convert, that is FL minus Fs, and finally we will get 500 kilohertz at the output. That is our required application. So based upon the local oscillator adjustment, that is down conversion, we are getting final applicable frequency, that is intermediate frequency. How we can able to adjust the local oscillator is, local oscillator we can use either Colpit oscillator or we can use a Hartley oscillator. But as you know that Hartley oscillator consists of series of inductors in parallel with capacitor. And if you see our radios, it has a tuning knob, right? And this tuning knob is nothing but a variable capacitor. Based upon this variable capacitor, based upon this variable capacitor, by adjusting this tuning knob to the required matching level, we can able to get the proper signal at the output, which is nothing but we are varying the capacitor value there. Adjusting the knob is nothing but varying the capacitor value. So this is how we will adjust the local oscillator, and finally we will get the intermediate frequency. This is about the local oscillator working, how it will work. And I also tell you why down conversion, and also why FL greater than FS. Why FL greater than FS? Because we can also use FS greater than FL. Why you are going for only FL less than FS? I will explain this briefly. And super heterodyne receiver which you are using now is for AM radio, and we know that AM radio has the frequency range, that is tuning range, ranging from 550 kHz to 1650 kHz. Now I will explain it briefly. This is a receiving antenna, and it has a mixer with intermediate frequency, that is 500 kilohertz, and LO is the local oscillator. By adjusting the local oscillator, we make the signal to 500 kilohertz, and the local oscillator frequencies which we are taking for this range is, for 550 kilohertz is 1050, and FL is equal to 1050 and FL is equal to 50. For 550 kilohertz signal, we are using this local oscillator frequencies, and for 1650 kilohertz signal, we are using 2150 kilohertz. These are all in kilohertz. Everything is in kilohertz. 2150 kilohertz and 1500 kilohertz. Now we'll explain how it will work. I am considering two cases. In the first case, I am considering the actual practical application, that is why FL greater than FS. Why FL greater than FS? For minimum FS. Minimum FS is nothing but, this is the minimum FS, that is 550 kilohertz. 550 kilohertz is the minimum FS, and the maximum value is the 1650 kilohertz. Now we will see for minimum FS, that is for 550 kilohertz, we are taking the local oscillator frequencies, that is we are going for FL greater than FS. So we are we are taking FL greater than FS. So we are using 1050 kilohertz, and we are not using 50 kilohertz. We are using 50 kilohertz for FL less than FS. But in the case 1, we will always take FL always greater than FS. So FL greater than FS. So for low frequency, that is for minimum frequency 550 kilohertz, we are taking FL as 1050. So we know that F is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi root L1 plus L2 into C maximum, because we are taking minimum FS, so the capacitance will be maximum. As you know, the capacitance and the frequency is inversely proportional to each other. So for minimum FS, 1050 is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi square root of L1 plus L2 into C max. Similarly, for FL is equal to FS, for maximum FS is nothing but 1650 kilohertz. For 1650 kilohertz, what you are considering, that is FL, what you consider is 2150 kilohertz. So 2150 kilohertz is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi square root of L1 plus L2 into C minimum. Why C minimum is because you are considering maximum FS. So from this, if you take 2 divided by 1, C max divided by C minimum is equal to 2150 divided by 1050 whole square. So after mathematical calculation, we will get C max divided by C minimum is equal to 4.2, that is there will be a maximum to minimum variation is 4.2. That is technically very small value. That is, we can vary maximum value to minimum value, that is 4.2 units variation will be there from minimum value to maximum value. That is all about the case 1, FL greater than Fs. Now I will explain about case 2. In case 2 we are considering FL less than Fs, and for minimum Fs is nothing but 550 kilohertz, and I have already told that this is FL less than Fs. So instead of using 1050, we are using 50k. So we will take the local oscillator frequency as 50. This is 50. We are down converting it. Our required application is intermediate frequency is 500 kilohertz. So 550 minus 50 is 500 kilohertz. This is how the mixer will work. Now I will explain. We are taking FL as 50, and 50 is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi square root of L1 plus L2 into C max. For minimum Fs, we are taking maximum capacitance. Similarly, for FL less than Fs, for maximum Fs is nothing but 1650, and we are considering case 2, that is FL less than Fs. So instead of taking 2150 kilohertz as a local oscillator frequency, we are taking 1150 kilohertz. Therefore, 1150 kilohertz is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi square root of L1 plus L2 into C minimum. Why C minimum? Because of the maximum Fs. Now we will take 2 by 1, that is division of 2 by 1, that is C max divided by C minimum is equal to 1150 divided by 50 whole square. Then you will get 529. If you see this figure in the second case, maximum value to minimum value variation is 529 times. That is 529 times you have to vary from the maximum to minimum value in order to adjust the local oscillator to make the value at the output of the mixer to the intermediate frequency. But practically we cannot able to vary the capacitor 529 times, that is from maximum value to minimum. Practically you cannot able to manufacture this type of capacitor. That's why we are not using case 2. That's why we are using case 1, that is FL greater than Fs. This is the reason why we are using down conversion, and also why we are going for FL greater than Fs. This is all about the local oscillator. Now I will explain another important topic, that is automatic gain control. Automatic gain control is also a type of technique which is used to maintain the constant audio gain at the output. That is, the signal which you receive from the antenna is not constant due to the various propagations delay. So you have to maintain a constant audio output, so that automatic gain control is used, which will control the gain to produce the constant audio output. Because while receiving the at the receiving antenna, that is RF receiving antenna, we will receive the signals, right? We will receive the signals from the space, but the signal traveling from the transmitting end to receiving end, it travel a large amount of distance. So results in, it may go for different types of delays, or it may come under different type of distortions. Results in, at the receiving end, the signals which you got doesn't have the same intensity levels. So what you want is, we want a constant audio output. So that we have to use automatic gain control, which will provide a constant intensity levels, that is a constant audio output at the receiving end, at the output. So that's why you are using automatic gain control. I will explain with an example how this automatic gain control will work. If you consider this is automatic gain control. If you see this graph, it has the various intensity level, but the level I choose is 0.1, and if you see above 0.1, one spike is present, and similarly below 0.1, one spike is present. So if the signal goes above 0.1 spike, went into above 0.1 spike, then this automatic gain control will adjust its intensity level, that is, by decreasing its intensity level, it will adjust to 0.1. Similarly, if the signal goes to below 0.1 spike, then the automatic control will automatically adjust that intensity level and increase that intensity level to 0.1. This is all about that. And finally, after 100, this it has the 1000 gain, so finally you will get a constant 100 watt output, that is audio signal at the output. This is all about how automatic gain control is used, and it is very important circuit in the and the receiving side of the audio signal. Similarly, we will go for another technique in the audio systems, that is in the receiver systems, any types of music systems, that is pre-emphasis and de-emphasis techniques. But mostly pre-emphasis and de-emphasis techniques are mostly used in the music systems, that is MP3 players, and also in different types of electronic gadgets. We are using pre-emphasis and de-emphasis technique. Why we are using pre-emphasis and de-emphasis technique is, I will explain now. This technique is used in order to improve the fidelity of the receiver. I have already told that fidelity is nothing but ability of the receiver to produce the all frequencies of the signal, that is audio signal which you are using here. So it has to produce the frequencies from 20 to 20 kilohertz. So it has to produce the all frequencies from 20 to 20 kilohertz. For that we are using pre-emphasis and de-emphasis technique. If you see this if you see this PSD, that is a probability density function of audio signal, at low frequencies the signal to noise ratio is high, at high frequencies the signal to noise ratio is low. But I have already told from the starting onwards, always signal to noise ratio should be greater than 1, then only we can able to demodulate, that is we can able to recover the original signal back without any losses in the signal. That is why we have to go for pre-emphasis and de-emphasis. And similarly, if you see the noise figure, at the low frequencies noise will be low, and at the high frequencies noise is very high. So we will use pre-emphasis and de-emphasis technique. I will explain. In audio signal transmission, signal to noise ratio is greater than 1 at low frequencies, that is at low frequencies signal to noise ratio is greater than 1. I am just repeating it. And at high, because of the less noise, similarly at high frequencies signal to noise ratio is low. At these high frequencies signal to noise ratio is low because of the high noise. So pre-emphasis and de-emphasis is done to produce the audio signal completely without any losses. So that's why you are using pre-emphasis and de-emphasis technique. I will explain what is pre-emphasis is and what is de-emphasis is. If you see, pre-emphasis is nothing but boosting the signal intensity level at high frequencies so that the signal to noise ratio is greater than 1. And pre-emphasis is done before modulation and de-emphasis is done after modulation. Pre-emphasis is nothing but we are just boosting the signal intensity level at the high frequencies, so that we also increasing the signal to noise ratio at the high frequencies, so that at the receiving end after demodulation we will get all the signal without any losses. If you see this this figure, if you see up to F1 the intensity level is constant, at F2 the intensity level is increased to 10 because F2 is nothing but high frequency. At this frequency signal to noise ratio is low, so we are just boosting this by multiplying with 10, so that we are increasing the signal to noise ratio. So from F1 to F2 signal strength increases, so signal to noise ratio increases. So signal to noise ratio increases, so that fidelity also increases. This is all about pre-emphasis. Pre-emphasis is always done before modulation only. We cannot done it after modulation, because after modulation the signal frequencies, everything is changed, because after modulation the signal will not be in the kilohertz range of frequencies, it is always in the gigahertz range of frequencies. So that we have to done everything before modulation itself. So that pre-emphasis is also done before modulation only. And similarly de-emphasis also. If you see at F2 the intensity level is increased to 10, but actually the intensity level is not at 10, so that after demodulation we have to go for de-emphasis, that is inverse of the pre-emphasis, in order to nullify that pre-emphasis effect. That is at F2 we are reducing the intensity level to 1 by 10. So 10 into 1 by 10, that is 1. So there is nothing change after de-emphasis. So at the receiver, after demodulation, we reduce the gain of the signal same as what you increased at the input side, that is at the pre-emphasis side, so that we can get the actual signal back at the output. So this is how pre-emphasis and de-emphasis work. So pre-emphasis and de-emphasis technique is used in Dolby noise reduction ratio. As you know, as you see now of the latest version MP3 players, MP4, and if you see in movies also, we know that the audio system program which you used is the Dolby Atmos technique. Dolby Atmos technique is nothing but pre-emphasis and de-emphasis technique. In Dolby Atmos also, pre-emphasis and de-emphasis is done in order to produce the total complete audio signal at the output. This is all about pre-emphasis and de-emphasis technique. But pre-emphasis and de-emphasis technique is not required for AM as well as for FM signals, because as you know, the AM signal at the output is up to 5 kilohertz, because we are maintaining the bandwidth up to 10 kilohertz in the AM signal. So at the output you can able to recover only 5 kilohertz, up to 5 kilohertz signal you can able to recover. Similarly, if you see FM, we can able to recover only 15 kilohertz at the output, so that we doesn't require any pre-emphasis and de-emphasis technique, because by modulation itself we are able to produce maximum of 5 kilohertz and 15 kilohertz only from the AM and FM. So pre-emphasis and de-emphasis techniques are only used in the Dolby Atmos reduction technique, that is in the MP3 players, because we can get the total complete frequency range, that is up to 20 kilohertz at the output. So example, I have said that Dolby Atmos in the music players is the latest version. And I will this is all about how we can able to rectify some of the problems in the AM receiver, that is in the super heterodyne receiver. Now I will explain about the FM receiver. Before explaining about the FM receiver, I will tell you some of the things about what is about FM radio, and how the frequency ranges, and what is the bandwidth, and what is the modulation mix we are using, and how much you will reproduce at the output, how much frequency range you can able to reproduce at the output. I will explain one by one. In FM receiver, as you know that nowadays we are using even you can see in our mobiles we have the FM radio, and if you see the FM radio, we can only able to tune from 88 to 108 megahertz range of frequencies. That is, the FM radio range is from 88 to 108 megahertz range of frequencies, and intermediate frequency is always depends upon our application, but practically if you take, or basically in all the textbooks, it has mentioned that the intermediate frequency is 10.7 megahertz, and the bandwidth, if you see the bandwidth for the FM receiver, that is, bandwidth is nothing but the channel bandwidth. If you see in FM radio, from 88 to 108 megahertz range of frequencies, there are several number of channels. If you want to listen to songs, we will tune to that range of frequencies, and if you want to listen to the news, then it is in another channel, so I have to tune to other range of frequencies. So there are definitely different types of channels, and so many channels, and each channel has a certain bandwidth, and this bandwidth 200 kilohertz is nothing but the channel bandwidth, each channel bandwidth. So in the FM radio, each channel has the 200 kilohertz, and we know that the bandwidth for FM signal is formula is 2 into beta plus 1 into FM, as we have already discussed in the previous topics, where beta is the modulation index. Beta is nothing but delta F, that is frequency deviation divided by FM, plus 1 into FM. After multiplication, we will get 2 into delta F plus 2 into FM, and frequency deviation which you used in the FM receiver is 75 kilohertz, and the frequency signal which you take at the input side is 15 kilohertz. So finally 2 into 75, that is 150 kilohertz, plus 2 into 15, that is 30 kilohertz. After addition, we will get 180 kilohertz is the useful bandwidth, but we are considering the bandwidth as 200 kilohertz. So the remaining 20 kilohertz is nothing but God band. God band, you know that what is the need of God band, because we doesn't have any ideal filters at the output in order to separate the channels, or in order to eliminate different channels from the channel what you required, so that we are using the we are using the God band in order to overcome the signal distortions. And I have told you that the frequency deviation is 75 kilohertz, and the message signal frequency, that is FM, is 15 kilohertz, and the bandwidth beta is equal to 5. If beta is greater than 1, then you can say it is wideband FM. So we are using wideband FM for FM receiver. This is all about the basics of the FM receiver. Basics of the FM radio and the FM receiver also. Now we'll explain about the super heterodyne receiver in FM radio. And super heterodyne receiver of the FM radio is similar that of the AM radio, except there was a somewhat change is the amplitude limiter. We are just adding the amplitude limiter in the super heterodyne receiver of the AM radio. So I will explain this block diagram. This is nothing but this is nothing but the RF amplifier receiver, RF receiver, similar that of AM receiver, AM super heterodyne receiver. What this RF amplifier will do is it will tune to the required radio frequency signal, and from that after tuning the signal is given to the RF amplifier. RF amplifier will able to amplify the intensity level of the signal. From that it is given to the mixer. Mixer consists of the local oscillator, and we know that the local oscillator is adjusted in order to maintain the tuning frequency Fs to the required intermediate frequency, that is IF is equal to FL minus Fs. So this is how we are down converting by adjusting the local oscillator. We are maintaining to the required intermediate frequency. I am taking here as intermediate frequency as 10.7 megahertz, but it may be different depend upon our application. And the bandwidth is similar, that is the bandwidth is 200 kilohertz, and after that the signal is given to the amplitude limiter. As in FM radio there is no variation in the amplitude, only in the AM radio the signal is present in the variation in the carrier, a variation in the amplitude of the carrier signal, but in FM the amplitude remains constant. Due to some delays in the signal distortion, there may be some variations in the amplitude. So amplitude limiter is used to maintain constant amplitude levels of the modulated signal. From that amplitude limiter, the signal is given to the demodulator. We know that what is the use of demodulator is it will change the frequencies, that is it will convert the high frequency range, that is gigahertz range of frequencies, into kilohertz range of frequencies. After that we are giving to the AM amplifier, that is audio frequency amplifier. First before modulation the signal is radio frequency in nature. After modulation the signal is radio frequency in nature. After demodulation we are just coming into kilohertz range, that is audio frequency in nature. So we require audio amplifier in order to amplify the intensity levels. From that it will be given to the power amplifier, and power amplifier, you know, the power amplifier is used in order to maintain proper gain at the output, that is without any losses. Power amplifier will produce the maximum output, and finally we will give it the output, that is the audio or the speaker. This is how the super heterodyne receiver will work. And I have missed this. The number of channels in the radio, FM radio, as you know that the range varies from 88 to 108 megahertz, that is 108 minus 88 is 20 megahertz. The total frequency range is 20 megahertz, and each channel bandwidth is 200 kilohertz. After mathematical calculation we will get 100 channel. So FM radio consists of maximum of 100 channels. Allocation is possible in the FM radio, so that if you see our mobiles, if you tune from 88 to 108, it has 100 channels present in it. Even some of the channels are not using also, no problem, but the FM radio can allocate maximum of 100 channels in it. This is all about super heterodyne receiver in the FM radio. I have told you that the super heterodyne receiver of the FM radio is similar that of AM, except an amplitude limiter is present. But in FM we cannot use amplitude limiter. Why? Because in AM we cannot use amplitude limiter. Why? Because in AM the signal itself stored in the variation in the amplitude, so that we cannot able to use the amplitude limiter in the AM radio. This is about the FM radio. Now I will go for the comparison between AM radio and AM signal and FM signal. AM signal is nothing but amplitude modulated signal, and FM signal is nothing but frequency modulated signal. And the total power I have already discussed, and also I have derived the power calculations in the previous classes. If you have any doubts, please go to my previous lectures and you can able to rectify from that. We know that P total is nothing but PC into 1 plus mu square divided by 2. Similarly, for FM signal, P total is nothing but the PC. PC is nothing but power of the carrier itself. So AM receiver requires more power, and FM signal requires less power, and power depends upon modulation index. If you see this term, P total depends upon modulation index mu, but here the power depends only on the power of the carrier. It doesn't depends upon modulation index. And efficiency, maximum efficiency for AM signal, if you use the sinusoidal signals, is 33% is the maximum. That is, the total utilized power is only 33.33%, and remaining 66.6% is wastage power. But if you see the FM signal, we are using 100% efficiency, 100% efficient power for only transmitting the information at only Bessel functions at 2.4, 5.5, 8.6 and 11.4. Because at these values of the Bessel function, the carrier signal is completely eliminated, so that we can able to produce 100% efficiency at the output. If you see the bandwidth of the AM signal, we know that bandwidth is nothing but 2 into message signal frequency. 2 into message signal, double of the message signal frequency. And if you see in FM, the bandwidth is 2 into beta plus 1 into FM. And similarly, here the bandwidth is low. In AM, the bandwidth is low. In FM, the bandwidth is high. And bandwidth is independent of the modulation index in the AM signal, because if you see, the bandwidth depends upon the signal frequency itself. Here the bandwidth depends upon FM. FM is nothing but signal frequency, message signal frequency. But in FM signal, bandwidth depends upon the modulation index, that is beta. If you see this bandwidth equation, bandwidth is equal to 2 into beta plus 1 into FM. So it depends upon modulation index. And AM receiver is less complex, and FM receiver is more complex. I have already told what the difference in the AM receiver and the FM receiver. And the effect of noise. Effect of noise is more in AM receiver, and effect of noise is less in FM receiver. And if you see the AM radio range, that is, I have told you the AM radio varies from 550K to 1650K, and similarly I have told you the FM radio varies from 88 megahertz to 108 megahertz. And if you see, intermediate frequency is 455 kilohertz in AM signal. Similarly, the intermediate frequency is 10.7 megahertz. These are the standard values used in the textbook, but it may vary, depends upon application. But according to the syllabus and the textbook exam point of view, we should take 455 kilohertz or 500 kilohertz as the intermediate frequency. Similarly, in FM, FM radio, the intermediate frequency is 10.7 megahertz. And the bandwidth, if you see, we know that for AM signal, bandwidth is equal to 2 into FM, and the FM signal which you are considering, the message signal frequency is 5 kilohertz. Therefore, the bandwidth is 10 kilohertz in the AM signal. And if you see, the bandwidth is equal to 200 kilohertz. I have already explained it. And the modulation index we are considering for AM is mu is equal to 1, and for FM, the modulation index we are considering at the FM receiver is 5, that is wideband FM. And we know that beta is equal to delta F divided by FM, where delta F is the frequency deviation we are considering as 75K, and we are considering the message signal frequency at the input as 15 kilohertz. And if you see the propagation, type of propagation used in the used for AM radio and FM radio. For AM radio, we are using ionospheric propagation. That is, we are transmitting the signal into the ionosphere. At the ionosphere, it is reflecting back towards the earth. This is how the transmission will move forward. Similarly, if you similarly if you see for FM radio, it depends upon line of sight. That is based upon the required nearest towers. So it is bounded to some particular place only. But as you compare to AM radio, it is not bounded. It is a universal. You can transmit universally, so that area coverage is more in AM signal. But if you see for FM, the area coverage is less. So because of the area coverage is more, frequency reuse is not possible, because the AM radio frequencies are similar whether you will use at anywhere. That is, AM radio frequencies are same if you use from it doesn't it won't be different from different places. But if you see for FM radio, it will be different. So if you nowadays you see for Hyderabad, let us take some example like cities. Chennai, for Chennai it has one AM. For Chennai it has one FM station, and for Hyderabad it has one FM station, and for Mumbai it has for one FM station. But the frequencies are same, that is from 88 to 108 megahertz. But the FM stations and the frequency reuse is also possible in FM signal. That's why you have different types of FM stations, and it varies from city to city. That's why frequency reuse is possible in FM radio, and it is not possible in the AM radio. This is all about the modulation and types of modulation, and also about the receivers. And I have to tell you that this comparison is very important. We can able to cover about more number of bits from it. If you see this formulas, I have covered about 4 formulas here, and here also if you cover about 3 formulas. So this comparison is very important. So keep in mind, always try to, if you consider that if there is 2 topics of similar side, then try to distinguish those 2 topics, and try to learn from it, so that you can able to minimize your time also. Thank you friends. Keep rocking, and keep studying, and have a nice day.